let's move to Malaysia. I think the government has been moving to increase food security, and there's a lot of talk of trying to re-energize the agricultural sector. I think the most contentious issue now in Malaysia is about the fuel price increase. What are your opinions? This kind of shock increase by well over 40%. Is it something wise or something which can be managed in a different way?
Well, of course, governments want to remain popular, and energy price increases basically affect much of the population, although differently. I mean, the increase in energy price for a relatively well-to-do person has different implications. Sure. But the relatively well-to-do person probably has a car which consumes much more petrol, and a person who rides around on a motorcycle probably consumes much less petrol, and so on and so forth. But it affects a lot of people. So populations are often very, very careful in terms of how to handle fuel price increases. I think generally speaking, the consensus internationally seems to be that you should allow international prices in fuel, as opposed to food, work through the system, but with some degree of cushioning. So you don't have the pump price moving around every day. There should be some kind of a cushion, some kind of range, for example, but that there should be a certain degree of exposure to international market prices. Now, and this may well mean that, and this there should also be, I think, people are generally agreed that there should be there should be taxation on fossil fuel consumption to discourage fossil fuel consumption. And that revenue should be deployed to compensating those who are worst affected by that. Now, the mechanisms of this will differ. It's very important to think through such policies very, very carefully to minimize leakage, to minimize opportunists from taking advantage of these kinds of situations, and so on and so forth. It's not easy, and there will be losers and there will be gainers, and it's very important that governments handle this in a careful kind of way. The fact that Malaysia has been protecting the consumer from the international prices for so long makes this transition here rather difficult for the government. But I think relatively few people would disagree that this kind of massive subsidy which has been taking place should continue indefinitely.
So you think it is something which is like a necessary evil? It had to go up to what, to about 270? Where is it now?
Well, I think this is part of the problem, that the relationship, the pump price and the spot price, the relationship is not so automatic. Okay. Very often, most companies actually have, they get their food on the basis of contracts, long-term contracts. It's not that the spot price changes the fuel price, not food, sorry, fuel price every day. So this, I think, is another factor to take into consideration. So it's not such a straightforward type of relationship. So I'm not trying to endorse any particular price, which is at any particular pump price, but I do think that it would be unrealistic to expect a massive fuel subsidy, as has been the case in the past in some countries. And I would say the same thing of many countries. And you have a lot of perverse behavior. Part of the problem in Malaysia is that for a long, long time, especially under the leadership of Dr. Mahathir, there was this strong commitment to developing a car-owning society.
Sure.
You know, and so you have the number of massive problems associated with car ownership, not only you know, a heavy fossil fuel dependence, but also a very heavy dependence on I mean, a heavy pollution associated with that, massive traffic jams, and a neglect of public transportation systems. And this is really the time when I think public transportation really needs to move in to develop very, very quickly to fill the gap which exists. Now, there has been talk about improving public transportation actually since the early 1980s, in my own memory, and probably even before that. I think if we do not make a big headway during this, in these present circumstances, I think we're losing a very important opportunity. Already people are responding to it. I met an old friend yesterday, for instance, who said that, you know, he and his wife used to travel in different cars to go to work. And now they are carpooling between themselves, and they are already. And as the price goes up, they are even beginning to thinking of carpooling with their neighbors.
Yeah.
You know, it involves a certain reduction in some conveniences, but it's sensible. So I think, you know, having various kinds of incentives, you know, towards carpooling, in favor of carpooling and in favor of public transportation. This is really the time to move ahead on that.